To me, it doesn't matter if you're a Muslim, a Hindu, a Jew, a pagan, a Christian. You know why? Because you people, you're all the same to me. And I don't mean that in a lovey-dovey way. I mean that in a cynical old man kind of way. You people are all the same. You really are, and I'm the same too. Why? Because we all want to make sense of this world. We all want to know what the hell's going on. And there's one way that humans make sense of the world. And that's through stories. Stories help us understand and define the world we live in. Because Christianity, that's the Bible. That's in essence just a bunch of stories. Islam is the stories of Muhammad. So we're not so different. Everybody uses stories to define who they are and how the world works. Now the fun part is atheists, they say that they're kind of above religion. They make the argument like organized religion is only there to control the people. And you could make that argument. It's a good argument. It's not a bad argument. There's a counter argument, of course. Sometimes I see people who are so out of control that I think like, no, religion's not controlling these people. Who is? It's not themselves. So, counter argument. Some people might need to be controlled. Okay, you can debate about that. But the atheists say that they're kind of above religion. And they might be. They might not be. But I tell you what they're not above. They're not above a good story. Because like I said, stories help us define who we are. And that's why mythology is so important. That's why we need a mythology. And for me, it doesn't matter if you choose like a Christian mythology or a Muslim mythology or like a Germanic or a Nordic or an Irish. It doesn't matter if like there's a story of the Tuatha, which I probably pronounced wrong again, in Ireland, where he comes from the ocean and he gives the people like civilization. Maybe that story speaks to you. Read about that story. Let it settle in your heart. And maybe you'll understand the lessons with it. Maybe you like the story about Freyr where he gives up his sword. I always like that. Maybe there's a lesson in there for you, but it doesn't matter if you take like a Christian or Abrahamic. To me, it's just like we're the hardware and religion is like the software. Some software goes well with certain hardware. But to get back to the atheists, they always go like we're above religion, but I don't think they're above a good story. Because something happened a couple of months ago in Holland. There was some climate activists and they tried to destroy a Van Gogh painting. Now, I'm not very nationalistic. I'm not like, oh, Holland #1. That's not me. But I'm proud of two things of Holland. That's cheese and Van Gogh paintings. So I got kind of pissed when they tried to destroy the Van Gogh painting. So I tried to do some research. Like, who are these people? No, seriously, who are these people? Because what makes a rational person throw soup on a Van Gogh painting and makes them think that they're actually helping? So I started looking these people up, like who are these climate activists? And most of the time, they're very intelligent people. They're people that came from families that are financially well off, and they're atheists. Which I found funny. Because they don't lack intelligence. They don't lack financial resources. Some people are just like poor and been poor for generations and are just angry and damaged and bitter because of it. That can happen. But they had none of that. They had everything except one thing: a good story. They were so captured by this story of climate change, which of course is a story. I'm not saying there's some truth to it, but that's another video because you have to get into it really in depth. I'm not going to do that. But it's a story. It's a story about the earth being just beautiful, which is true, and mankind being a plague upon it, which sometimes is true, but not the whole truth. But my point is this. If you don't choose your mythology, and I don't care what you choose, mythology will choose you. There are lots of stories out there nowadays. There are stories, if you turn on the TV, there are lots of stories. One of the stories is climate change. The other story is everything's racist. You know, and some things are racist, of course. But my point is, choose your stories. Otherwise, the stories choose you. And I believe that history isn't always true. You might notice, because history is written by the victors, you know, and they always leave out the part where they do terrible stuff, and they always, where the other people do terrible stuff, they leave that so, you know, to make the victors look good. So if you can't trust history, what can you trust? You can trust mythology, because mythology is basically the history of our ancestors. It's knowledge of yourself, the world, and the cycles and your place within it. So why do we need mythology? Well, you need to choose, because if you don't choose, stories are going to choose you. Because you're a human being, you need stories to define the world. And if you don't define the world through some stories, you never know what stories are going to grasp you. And there's a second reason why we need mythology. And like I said, I don't care if it's like Jewish mythology or Christian mythology or Muslim mythology. That raises a question. The question is always, what's the difference between a religion and a mythology? Well, religion is your religion, and a mythology is somebody else's religion. So therefore I talk about all religions as mythology in this video for the sake of making an argument. Argument being we're all the same. The second part is, if you connect with the mythology, that automatically means that you understand to a degree that there's a higher power, which is really important. Because there are also a lot of people in Holland and the West who don't believe in any higher power. They believe everything is just nuts and bolts. Everything is just easily understandable and science will solve everything and there's no magic. When you just have a wife and children, it's just you giving your DNA. That's all it is. There's nothing magical about it. People think like that. And I have a counter argument to that, of course. I have a very rational counter argument. This is what I like about being a human being. This is what I like about the human story. Is it is possible for us humans to be almost everything. It's possible to be a freaking demon to the people we love. And it's possible to be an angel and a hero to your society and your tribe and the people you love. There's so much possibility for pain and beauty. It's like everything is inside of us as human beings. And I think we need to believe in a higher power to gravitate to. We need a North Star to bring us home, basically. Like I said, doesn't matter which one you choose. Let me give you an example, and let me give you an unconventional example. Let me give you a pagan example. Because people think like, oh, you're going to orient your life with the North Star, you're going to like a higher power, so you're going to do a story about God and Jesus. No, not on this channel, people. Remember that scene in The Lord of the Rings? I believe it was like the third movie of the original Peter Jackson trilogy. And the armies are coming. And I believe it's Aragorn who looks straight into the camera, who pulls up his sword and says, "For Frodo." And he charges into that army with almost certain death awaiting him. The fact that he didn't care about his own well-being, but that he gave his life wholeheartedly for a higher goal that he believed in, that's not rational at all. And that scene is, for me, that's the highest human potential that we saw in that great movie. And you can't reach that without mythology. Doesn't care if it's a Christian, Muslim, Hindu, or whatever. So that, my friends, is why we need mythology. Okay, thanks for sharing this moment. I'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.